what up, y'all? Mr. Cruz here, the latest teacher you never had, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you an overview. Actually, not really an overview, but it's going to be a series strictly on the Dr. Octorex loop player. It's the bomb. It's kind of becoming one of my favorite things to use when I'm sampling because of just the easeability. Easeability, that's not even a word. Just because of the ease of use that comes with chopping a sample, dropping it in there, and then having a lot of free range to be able to do what it is that you want to do. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So when you drag out Dr. Octorex, it's going to come with a patch. I usually like to disable the patches as soon as I drop them in here because I know what I want. So you would hit reset device and it'll be blank. So there's two ways, just like with any other rack extension, any other rack device that you have to, you can pick the drums or the patch that you want just by dragging it in there or kind of scrolling through here to find out which one you like. And of course you can preview, but that's not what we're going to do because you know how Mr. Cruz is. I like to make things super difficult. So once again, I'm going to reset this. What the Dr. Octorex has is, if you remember from previous versions of Reason, we had the Rex loop player. So the Dr. Octorex, as its name states, you get 8 different slots that you can. So it's like adding 8 different Rex loop players into one. And if you were to be like me and route 8 different Rex loop players to one mix or whatever. So with these individual slots, you can use previous Rex loop patches and just drag and drop them in there. So that's essentially what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick this one up here, and I'm going to drag it into slot 1. Now, if I drag it onto the whole patch, all it's going to do is automatically set it to slot 1. I also want this one over here, this one that says beauty. And again, if I do the same thing, it's going to override slot 1 once again. So what I want to do is drag this one into slot 1, which kind of already happened, and then drag this one into slot 2. And then I can kind of continue to go on and on with that. By default, this thing over here, the enable loop playback, is already set. So if I hit run or if I hit play on my transporter, and if I had a slot selected, that means it's going to play the loop of whatever slot is in there. So I'm going to select slot 1, and I'm going to hit play. And it'll play that, or if I can hit run, and it'll give me like a little preview. But that can kind of be annoying because, if let's say on this part right here in bar 9, where it says verse, I don't want this loop to play, but it's continuously playing, I would just hit enable loop playback to make sure that that is disabled, to turn that when you see that little LED light come on. Now, one of the things that you could use, and the great thing about the Dr. Octorex is that what it does is it'll chop up a sample, any sample that you drop in it, and it'll match it to whatever tempo is set by your project. So if you see here, this here says that it's set to 80 BPM. My tempo is set to 86, but you'll notice, I'm going to hit this enable loop playback once again, is it plays perfectly fine. I could even lower the tempo, and it still keeps the same groove, same rhythm, same pattern, and it just matches whatever BPM is set to your project, which that's a huge, huge help whenever you're chopping up a sample and you don't know what the BPM is. You'll just know that when you chop it and you throw it in Dr. Octorex, it's going to match it, and you don't have to worry about it. Now, you got to do a little finagling, but that's all right. That's easy. All right. The other thing is when it comes to these samples, sometimes you want the samples to play back to back. So if I have this one in slot 1, which we're listening to, but let's say I want slot 2 to play next. So one of the things that I could do is I could kind of click and automate these to play back and forth. That determines on this little feature right here called the trigger next loop is the trigger next loop function. So what this will do is whichever one this is set to, that's when it'll trigger the next loop that you have selected. So since it's set to bar right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to hit slot 2 before it gets to the second bar. But you'll notice that it won't play until it actually gets to the second bar. Like, it's not an immediate thing. All right, let's go to enable loop playback, and then let's do this. All right, now, and then hit 2 again. So that's kind of how that works. And then it can be set to B, or it can be set to 1/16. I never tried it with 1/16. Let's take it out. You know, so that's kind of a little something that you can do. You can mess around and play with. Lastly, let's say you wanted to automate that, because obviously with the Dr. Octorex, that's probably something that you would want to do, is you would want to automate the patterns or the samples that you've got, or the loops that you've got in there. So to automate it, you would just click one of the slot buttons, hit edit automation, and then this little green rectangle is going to surround all of them. So that lets me know that when I go down here to my pattern select lane, I cannot, even though I clicked automation on only one slot, I can automate between all 8. So I only have 2, so that's kind of what I'm going to do. So here's the other thing is I'm going to set this back to bar, and I'm going to disable the enable loop playback, because now it's just going to play back because of my automation. And last time, right, when I set it to bar, it wouldn't play until the next bar came on. But my automation, I'm going to set it to play back at halfway through. And let me shorten this one over here. And when that happens, oh, my bad. So when that happens, boom. So you see that? Whenever we have automation, it's going to completely disregard the trigger next loop feature. It'll automatically disable it, because it'll assume that what you have automated is what you really want to play, and it'll kind of ignore that. So that's kind of a really dope feature to be able to have that, to know that that's kind of how that works. You know what? We're going to wrap it up here for today. Next video, I'm going to show you guys how you can assign, or how you can essentially play the samples based off of your keyboard, and how you can use your keys, right, the notes on your keyboard, to correspond to the loop, so that you can kind of select the next loop on the fly and, you know, on the spot. All right, but check out the next video coming to you guys next week. Mr. Cruz out.